So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie's totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
And hello, good evening, and welcome to the Traffic Report.
Hi, John.
Hi, guys.
Howard.
What's up, brother?
Everybody, do we have people listening already, John?
I'm gonna check right on that. I'm hoping we do. My whatchamacallit's not cooperating, so I'm multitasking. I hate multitasking.
The whatchamacallit?
Yeah, my whatchamacallit. That's the technical term for let's see.
Yeah, we have some. Yes, we do.
All right. So, NXIVM.
This evening.
NXIVM. Do we have a sex cult running some preschools, or do we?
Well,
NXIVM.
this evening.
Sorry about that. So, that is the question, and hopefully we'll have a better idea by the time. We're going to cover all of NXIVM, and I'm going to start off with the facts. This is what we know to be factual.
Well, I'm sorry.
So,
before I know we're going to talk about NXIVM tonight, but can we just quickly just mention George Pell, because obviously the massive story.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, George Pell, third in charge of the Vatican. He was brought up on charges in Australia. He's an Australian cardinal. I believe he handles the Vatican finances. And today it was.
Yes, he does.
I guess it's like a preliminary thing to see if there's enough evidence to whether it's going to go to trial. And Australia said, yes, there is enough evidence. So the number 3 at the Vatican, George Pell, Cardinal George Pell,
number 3,
will be on trial for child sex abuse, when the allegations have been out there for years and years and years. And so, kudos to Australia for not backing down on this. And it'll be obviously an interesting trial to follow. But believe me, if they're bringing up charges on the third in line, the Vatican, I'm pretty sure he's guilty. They're not gonna go in there with flimsy evidence.
Well, I know we've been following that case, since it was charged, and what happened was one of the lead witnesses died, and everybody thought that would be it for the case, and it not supposedly natural causes, but
can you expound on that, because I don't know.
Well, they charged him, and I think there's the people who are actually testifying. I know he's got at least hundreds of victims, but I think they were relying on 2 or 3, the direct testimony, or 2 or 3, and one of those guys, I believe he it was leukemia or something, and he wasn't a young person. You know, he was like in his 60s, and he died, I think, back in December. So everything got put on hold, and they had to move it forward to this hearing. You know, how he was talking about, to see if there was enough to go forward, and apparently there is. You know, and I don't see why there would be any shortage, because they got hopefully more victims have come forward in that time and are willing to testify and so forth. But the trial is going on.
And I have all these crazy coincidences in my life, a lot more, you know, since I've been involved with this. But you know, like I think I woke up this morning and something popped in my head that I was just like, you know, what's going on with this guy? You know, I hadn't thought about it in a while, and then you know, no, I'm saying, you know, I'm being dead serious. I don't make stuff up like that. I don't.
National Joe Day.
Well, I want to clap because this is news to me. Evidently you guys know something about this guy. It's news to me, and I did see it this morning. It made me extremely happy. Yep. And then I went on to see where there's a daycare in Virginia that was getting stuff carted out. It sounded like as it was being tweeted out, and so that was pretty encouraging also. And then trying to do the research for this, it was like going crazy in my head.
Yeah. And this guy, you know, is top echelon Vatican. I mean, inner circle. It was nice that the Pope gave him a leave of absence to go to this trial. I thought that was
hundreds of victims. So how many popes did he go through?
Yeah, really. So yeah, hopefully this will lay that whole cesspool wide open. You know, because like we found, yeah, we saw Nasser get prosecuted, and it's like, well, who else knew? So now the head of the medical school at Michigan State is under arrest. So hopefully it'll have the same effect in the church. I'm hoping.
Well, we're talking about the Catholic Church, but sorry, I'm not trying to bag on anybody, but hey, it's very powerful. Maybe even more powerful than our own government. I'm not sure. Sorry, go ahead, Howard.
That's the theory. The Jesuits run this mess.
I'll buy into that theory.
I'll buy that for $1. So yeah, we've got good things happening, and I'm woefully unaware of the state that I live in, Catholic. That was the first time I heard of that, and when I get some time,
Howard knows about it. He and I have talked about it.
Yeah. So, but you know, Terry McAuliffe being the governor here for as long as he was, not that there was any other ones that were any more corrupt or less corrupt than he was, but he was part of the old Clinton machine. So that speaks for itself. So at any rate, and we're seeing, and I think this NXIVM story we're just getting started with this. Let me just.
I haven't, and I'll, full disclosure, I haven't spent as much time on it as I would have liked. But it's very complicated. It is really a convoluted, just trying to figure out what this NXIVM is. So hopefully, I'm actually hopefully going to learn a little bit tonight as opposed to contribute. But it is, yeah.
Wow. Can you see their webpage?
Oh yeah, I've seen the webpage.
I thought it was very touching that they were quoting Helen Keller. And okay, so then we'll start with the facts. Right now we know the guy.
John, can I stop you real quick? We're talking about NXIVM, but we're focusing on the Rainbow Cultural Garden Daycare / school.
Yeah.
We haven't thrown that part in yet.
Right.
We're talking about the Rainbow Cultural Garden. So, but we're starting with NXIVM because of the Raniere founder and the
we know NXIVM is
connection.
We know NXIVM is a sex trafficking network, but this let me just read this.
Well, they've been charged.
Yeah, he's
alleged. Everything's alleged. We'll you know, of course.
He's under arrest. Allison Mack is. I don't know how you can be on $5 million bail and get released to the custody of your mother, but that's supposedly the story there. But listen to this. This is what this and what we know now lets you know that this whole thing is worse than suspect. But this is what they're putting out. It's a community guided by humanitarian principles. I guess if you call sex slavery and sex trafficking a humanitarian principle, that seek to empower people and answer important questions about what it means to be human. The NXIVM philosophy is expressed through a series of companies and initiatives, all of which were designed to broaden the way we currently think about problems and help create solutions for a kinder, more sustainable, ethical world. With unique tools that facilitate success both internally and externally, NXIVM helps people realize the potential that exists within them. And Helen Keller, alone we can do little, together we can do so much. And this was put together by the scumbag who is now, there he is, under arrest for sex trafficking, branding women. And now we find out that this, whatever he is, has been at least a part of the philosophy that's being taught in a number of schools. So let me start with the facts. Okay, this is what we know. He's charged, multiple counts, sex trafficking. Allison Mack is also under arrest, charged, out on $5 million bail. Okay. The three schools that I'm going to talk about, because these are the ones that I was able to find on Facebook, and Catherine has, there's more than these three, but I actually made contact with the Miami school today, or a representative for the Miami school. So let me start with the Miami school. We know that this school was touted by NXIVM people, involved in that organization. Alejandro, let me get these names so I'm not just, and I'll put this up while I'm doing it. So hold on for a second here. Alejandro Sanz, and if you don't know who, I'm going to put this up so people can see it, and just go ahead and Google this. We'll have some show notes. But this guy is from Mexico, I believe, and he's a multi-Grammy recording artist. Him and his wife were instrumental in getting this Miami school going. Alejandro Sanz spoke to Mexican television stations and newspapers to promote his wife's new venture. So it was her venture.
Celebrate by voting for your favorite twist every day until we crown the margarita of the year on Cinco de Mayo.
Incredible. Incredible. So apparently that website has hidden advertisement. So at any rate, him, and I really actually have to access this story, but him and another family, the Garza family, these are two individuals, two women that were high up in this NXIVM hierarchy. And see if I can get to that without that ad playing. So we have this big Mexican singing star, and this is his wife's venture. She opens this school in Miami. They go on all Mexican television, Univision. There's a large Latin community in Miami, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. And as this was getting launched, these Garza women, let's see, it's Loretta and Jimena Garza, were all over social media saying how this Rainbow Cultural Garden was such a great thing, thanking Keith Raniere for such an amazing opportunity. Okay, so you've got some very highly placed individuals that got this school started. And the most troubling part about this is this Garza family, and we're just starting to investigate exactly who they are. But Raniere was hiding out with them on a compound in Mexico when the FBI got him. So it's not real. And here's another fact that we know.
Amazing that they got him out of Mexico. Just throwing that out there. It's not easy.
Yeah, yeah. And we know that the reporter for Miami New Times who wrote these articles was the one who called DCF to talk about the association. DCF went in and did an investigation, and it appears that they were not unlicensed, but they had the wrong license. So they are shut down.
This is your business. You want the best.
Wow.
So, what about your internet and phone?
Boy, that's aggravating. But anyway, it's gone for now. So at any rate, I called down there. There's a woman, Pietrus is her name. She is the, I guess, one of the heads of this Miami school. I actually got her phone number off their voicemail and called her. And much to my surprise, I got a call back, not from her, but a woman by the name of Cynthia Demos, who is a media consultant, and was telling me that she was actually a journalist that worked for CBS for a number of years. And I just started asking her questions about the article and the associations, and she's in the process of sending me a statement from the school. Their position is there is no contact with Raniere whatsoever.
No connection.
Well,
other than he founded it.
That the school was started by these people. They and she didn't even know who the Garza people were. And my suggestion to her was, if you need to address that immediately, because that's where this guy was found hiding out. They're obviously high up in the NXIVM structure. And they were touting the praises of that school when it was opened. So this is their position, and I'm going to keep checking my email because she's supposed to email me the complete statement from the school itself. But they're from what I understood from what she told me was that there is no active connection, other than they are using this system that Raniere invented, whatever, to teach young children multiple foreign languages, and that's the only connection. So,
so at this point, John, can I talk about Dr. Porter, New York Dr. Porter?
Yeah, let me just trying to make sure I didn't miss. I wanted to cover everything, but. Yeah, let me just finish covering what my conversation with this Cynthia Demos woman.
Okay, sorry.
She what she said was that they weren't too happy with the reporting by the New Times, that it kind of made associations that haven't been established, et cetera, and it hasn't appeared in the Miami Herald yet. And what I said to her was, I said, "Do you know who Mark Thompson is?" Who she didn't. And I explained the link to Mark Thompson and Jimmy Savile, and she was like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "That's the atmosphere that you're in right now, and you have no idea the amount of heat that you're going to get. And just because this hasn't been in the Herald doesn't mean that millions of people know about it and are going to be coming down on you like a ton of bricks. And you need to, I said, if there's truly, and I hope there's no association and that none of these kids are in any way involved, in sex trafficking, but, you're going to have to be totally transparent, and you're going to have to get out, you're already, behind the 8 ball on this. And so we'll see. And the spotlight is not going anywhere. And ETF is investigating. According to them, the reason they were shut down was the license that they carried was for tutoring and not for I guess everything that they're doing, which is yoga classes, and so and that they're going to be open shortly. So we'll see. I'm glad to have a contact point with them. We're going to work on some follow-up questions. The three of us, and the amount of investigation that I was able to do. I found the school in Monterey. I found the school in London. They have, basically been at least available. But what I found was very odd was the school in Monterey hasn't posted in a year on Facebook, and what happened to them. And now,
Monterey, Mexico.
Yeah, in Monterey, Mexico. I mean, why would they just stop? I don't know. And this is opinion. I'm crossing over from fact to opinion, but I have to wonder if the Miami school and maybe the London school are legitimate and set up to.
No.
It seems like they have many more schools in Mexico where it would be much easier to traffic children. And what a perfect cover to have a worldwide organization where you have a couple of schools that are actually legitimate, and then in the poorer countries, the kids are being trafficked. So the bottom line is the spotlight is on them. It's on them for good. Anybody even using the system, that Raniere came up with, anybody that has any ties to this organization is immediately suspect. And if they think that they can have schools for toddlers and they're not going to get some incredible heat and investigation, I think they're just not living in reality. So
London is not accredited the way that it's supposed to be. I was just reading that, and in December of 2017, the Sun UK reported the cult link posh Brit school founded by American cult leader under review by watchdog Ofsted. So they're not registered with Educational Inspection Board of Ofsted. And so allegations have been made and they're starting to be looked at. Well, they're being looked at by Ofsted. So London's not accredited the way it's supposed to be either.
Yeah. Well, that's, like I said, and it's sad that it has to be like this, but, you would think that DCF would have been aware of this before, they were called by a newspaper reporter doing a story, and this is their website of the school in London. So.
I wouldn't, because you're talking about wealthy people. They have to, the fee for this school is roughly $120,000 a year.
Yes, not cheap.
Right.
Not
guys. Before we get further on in this, do we know anything about Mr. Raniere? I mean, just on his the Wikipedia page. I mean, it picks up his life in 1998 when he was 38 years old when he started this NXIVM with Nancy Salzman. I don't like this. Do we know where he was? From basically 2038.
I saw where he was involved in a pyramid scheme prior to NXIVM that collapsed, and that made I think $33 million a year. I think is what or in a year.
Multi-level marketing type stuff.
Right.
Well, that's what they reference like NXIVM as.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, so Howard, when I was researching, I found that this Rainbow School was started by Raniere and a Dr. Porter from New York. Well, Dr. Porter from New York is currently under investigation for traumatizing these women, and the way that he traumatized them was he made them watch video clips of violent rapes and murders. So he and Raniere are the co-founders of the Rainbow Cultural Garden. They're the co-founders. Mr.
Right.
Dr. Porter from New York. So how does that make you feel about the Rainbow Cultural Garden?
Yeah, I mean,
everything to me is suspect. You know, everything. But I think it's really important that, you know, we do our homework and the investigators do their homework, because, you know, it doesn't do trafficked children any good for us to make innuendos about something that we're really not sure of, you know, and we can talk about NXIVM is, I mean, those are facts, but these individual schools, we're gonna have to rely on real investigators, and it sounds like there's real investigators. They wrapped Raniere up. They've closed that school for now in Florida, and they're investigating in Britain. So that's, you know, it's just,
well, Raniere's publicist came out against him. He's the one who writes the Frank report. If you look up anything NXIVM or the Rainbow Cultural Garden, you'll see the Frank report, and he was a former publicist of Raniere.
Yeah, that whole, you know, I don't I have no doubt that the entire NXIVM organization or most of it is got a big problem, but you know, it's just like everything else. We have to, you know, it has to be investigated. We can present the information, and like that report you're talking about, people need to read this. You know, we need to educate ourselves on, you know, every aspect of this that we can, and hopefully hold, you know, the people that are investigating it speak to the fire. You know,
we've talked about this before, things that are near and dear to our hearts, and obviously, you know, this is a story and it has, you know, a lot of elements to it. But this is what the media is supposed to be doing. This is what the fourth state is there for. They have the money, they have the resources. They have the talent to be digging. I mean, to leave it all on, you know, law enforcement. I mean, they can do the research, you know, also. But, you know, as you bring up article after article, you're going to find that it's from the Sun, it's from the Daily Mail, it's from the Independent, and if people aren't aware, they're all UK publication.
Howie, your audio's not good.
Oh. I don't know why. You want to call me back?
Or you just have to beam back in. I think you hang up and come back in. So that won't. Bye, Howie. Be back in a minute. But, and I want to hear about the rest of these schools, Catherine, because I mean, there's apparently quite a few of them.
Right. 11 branches around the world is what I saw.
Howie's back.
So.
Hold on a second. Can you hear me better now?
That's much better.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't touch anything, obviously. So it sucks because I thought I said something pretty good there. I don't know if I could replicate it, but
I know you were on a roll.
Well, you know, basically what I'm saying that you know, Catherine referenced articles from the Sun, the Daily Mail, probably the Independent. These are all British UK publications, you know, and where is CNN? Where is Fox? Where is, you know, MSNBC? Where's New York Times, the Washington Post? Where is the American media on this? Why aren't we seeing the story updated on World News Tonight? You know.
Well, one thing, Howard, is Raniere goes after people with a vengeance. And there was a reporter that worked for the Times Union, which is a DC paper. I don't know whether it's online only but James M. Odato wrote about NXIVM as early as 2010. And then he talked about NXIVM in November of 2010, and then he followed up shortly afterwards about the rainbow schools. Well, right after that was when Raniere just went after him, and then he lost his job. And
Sure.
So,
well, he's got some, he runs with some powerful people. A connection to the Seagram's heiress.
Yes.
Well, Catherine's got a lot of great information on that. I want her to. She's done the
okay. So Daddy Bronfman. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Howard?
Bronfman.
Do you know?
Yes.
Okay. So Daddy Bronfman and the two daughters, they were originally in NXIVM. Well, recently, Daddy Senior, he has fallen out of love with NXIVM, and he's not happy with his daughters for the money that they're investing and spending in NXIVM. And they made mention of a $2 million loan with an interest. Well, I saw where they gave NXIVM $22 million and then another significant amount. So I'm not sure if Senior knows about that. But Senior is no longer on board with NXIVM.
So Bronfman,
and they're looking for one of the Bronfman girls anyway.
So
I don't know if both of them or not.
The Bronfman is to NXIVM what Tom Cruise is to.
Yes.
Why am I not? Why am I forgetting, John?
NXIVM.
Tom Cruise is to
Scientology.
Scientology.
Weirdness.
Okay, well, Howard, this is a list. This is like a VIP list of NXIVM people, okay? So, Sheila Johnson, co-founder of Black Entertainment. She's...
ET, yeah.
Right, okay. Antonia C. Novella, a former U.S. Surgeon General. How do you like that? A former U.S. Surgeon General in your group. Stephen Cooper, acting chief executive of Enron. Edgar, okay, so we talked about Edgar Bronfman and the two daughters. Okay, so also Ana Cristina Fox, daughter of Mexican president, the current Mexican president. Also, Emiliano Salinas, son of former president of Mexico. They are NXIVM people. So those are all NXIVM people.
And I'm thinking, just in what we're seeing, Mexico is a key to this thing because they have more schools than anywhere else. They've got top talent. This Alejandro Sanz,
something hot.
And I don't know. This is my Celtic Indian kicking in, but I'm thinking what they have done, and this would be typical of this type of behavior is to set these up, and they'll have the school in Miami, and maybe everything's kosher there, maybe because it's harder to get away with that
smokes
in the United States.
And
then they've got this organization, and look what we do in Miami, and blah blah blah, and in the meantime, this check Facebook, check the Monterey school. Why haven't they posted in a year?
Check Wikipedia for Antonia C. Novella. Okay, I told her I was going to check her out, so I did that just before we came on. President George W. Bush, President Bill Clinton. So she was the 14th Surgeon General of the United States in office from March 1990 to June 1993. So she is a NXIVM person. She's Puerto Rican physician,
right?
Public health administrator, vice admiral in the Public Health Service Commission Corps, and then she went on to serve as Surgeon General.
Yep, and I don't know if you guys remember. You remember Jocelyn Elder?
No.
Yeah.
Surgeon General under Bill Clinton. She was also the head medical examiner in the state of Arkansas, and she signed off on the Arkancides, a lot of them.
Oh.
Surgeon General. kind of a strange correlation. Another Surgeon General.
Well, that's a pretty big coup for NXIVM, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for goodness sakes.
Well,
then the two children of Mexico's president and former vice president. My.
I want to know what those schools are doing in Mexico, and I want to know
okay.
what that one.
Okay, well, now wait a second. So, have you heard about Kristen Snyder?
No.
Kristen Snyder was a former NXIVM member. So she committed suicide after an intensive 16-day seminar in Anchorage, Alaska. She wrote a suicide note, and she claimed that she was brainwashed, and she said something similar to, "I'm sorry, I didn't know I was already dead." And she drowned herself in freezing water. That's how she committed suicide. But it was after a 16-day seminar in Anchorage, Alaska for NXIVM.
Wow. Yeah, it just keeps coming up wrong. You know, and I look for, let me check my email, see if I've got this statement, because I really want to read it. But go ahead, Catherine. You've done some great research on this. And how about you had the locations of a bunch of these schools other than the 3?
Right. Okay. Give me a second here. I had not read that novella Wikipedia until just seconds before I read it to you guys. So I was about to come off my seat. My goodness. Okay. In the United States, there's one in Albany, New York City, and in Miami. In Mexico, it's Mexico City, Monterey, and Guadalajara. There's one in Guatemala, one in Madrid, Spain, one in London, and upcoming area is Leon, Mexico. That's what was from their website. And that's the Rainbow Cultural Garden schools. And they start as young as like infants. And the one guy that worked for the Times Union, he actually wrote an article about, well, it was the second article that he wrote. He did the NXIVM one, and then he did the Rainbow. And he talked about the first child that was part of this rainbow thing. And it was creepy as all get out. And so part of the curriculum is 7 days of languages, every day a different language. The nanny, you have a nanny that teaches these. So the nanny has to know, well, did you read the job? They're looking for nannies right now, currently. No kidding. They really are.
Wow.
So the nanny, anybody that goes into the program must speak Spanish, because the curriculum is taught to them in Spanish, because they're trained when they sign on for the Rainbow schools. They teach.
Man, this just keeps coming up, Mexico, and I mean.
Yeah.
Wow.
They teach a different language every day, 7 days a week. There is an option to have the nanny come into the home. If the nanny comes into the home, the parents cannot speak to the children all day long, because the children must be connected to the nanny in that language, unless the parent knows Russian or Mandarin or something like that. So that's the curriculum, part of it. And they haven't had any child come out of there knowing even one language. And there was a child that came out that didn't even know his own language. And of note, Raniere knows no other language besides English himself. Not even Spanish, which is the prerequisite for the nannies.
Yeah. Did you see my review of their UK stuff?
No, I didn't.
Well, I gave him a 1 on Facebook, and I said, we'll be discussing links to Keith Raniere's sex trafficker in your organization tonight on the Traffic Report show. Do you have any comment? Haven't gotten
Very nice. It's perfect.
And I encourage you to go to these Facebook pages and start asking these people, you know, some very, very pointed questions. I'm trying to get, I can't seem to find, what I had up there a minute ago was, are you familiar with Op Death Eaters? You know who they are?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is their post, April 28th on, oh, darn it. Hold on. Let me get the post back. On this, you can see it right now. And Rainbow Cultural Garden is located worldwide, including the United States, Albany, New York City, LA, Miami, Mexico, Mexico City, Monterey, Cuernavaca, Guatemala, Spain, Madrid, and the United Kingdom. So
they have one in LA, which wasn't noted on the website. Well, can I say that nannies, some of them obviously are from out of country, and they come over on the S1 or the H1B1 work visa. So for that visa, NXIVM has to, or the Rainbow has to say that they're going to make X amount of dollars, and it's quite a bit, and they have to pay a certain amount for that person to come over. And the last I checked, it was $5,000, and that was about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So the nanny comes over saying that they're going to pay or NXIVM or Rainbow is telling them they're going to be paid, for example, $50,000 a year. They're actually paid $10 an hour. They are only trained through Rainbow and their training. And so when they say that they are going to say the approximate or fictional $50,000 a year, they have to return that money to Rainbow beyond $10 an hour. So these nannies are making $10 an hour. They're not trained except for they know Spanish and whatever language that they'll be teaching the children. So, and these schools from Florida and London, they're not accredited. And beyond those two, I don't know about any others, but those two for sure know.
Well, I'm trying to, I can't seem to get that Monterey page up, and let me see if I can find it by another.
You told me about the one in New York, and I was like, all right, maybe I go up and just take a look around or whatever. I can't find any information on it.
Mm-hmm.
There, if you click on the link on the website, it only takes you to an email address, email editor. It's not on Facebook. There's, it says there's a location, but there's absolutely nothing on that I could find on the internet.
Hi, Bailey. Hi, Rosie. I'm just saying hi to everyone. We had our first chat room ejection.
Howard, it might be on that Frank guy's website, the Frank Report.
All right.
It might be there.
But it's still strange that if you have, I mean, it is a business. I mean, it should have something. It should have something to say that it exists. I mean, it has the UK one comes up, the Miami one comes up, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Central Multicultural Rainbow, Monterey. And I think I'm going to send them a message and ask them why they haven't posted anything since July or August 2017. So what happened in Mexico? Why
They're probably going to try to learn how to delete their Facebook real quick.
Yeah.
Not realizing they really can't, but anyway.
And I tell you what, Op Death Eaters, they have some really good information. I'll try to reach out to them on Twitter and see if we can get some addresses and for all these other locations. But looking at that board of directors, seeing Vincenzo Fox, all those people, looking at the Miami school, and they've got top line, entertainment people who it was her project. And why did she get out of it? I'd like to, You know, she got the school started and then she turned it over to, there's a lot of questions. Believe me, when I get this, this statement from their media person, between the three of us, we're going to come up with some follow-up questions and see just how open and transparent that they want to be, because the feeling I got from her is they're panicking, and they should be, because I'm thinking, you know, even if all it is that they're using Raniere's curriculum, I would, you know, with what's being found out about him, these schools are going down, you know, either way. You know, that's the way I look at it. And you know,
John, if the one website you can get information, it's rainbowculturalgarden.uk, and if you click on our, you know, there's a link that says our team. So I clicked on our team, and what it says is we have a wonderful team of carefully sourced and highly trained child development specialists. Our multicultural team includes caregivers with diversity, backgrounds, approaches, blah 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 blah. You know, we've seen this before with, you know, a lot of different organizations that when they speak in generality, if they're counting themselves as this elite tool.
Howie, we're losing your audio again.
I have no idea why.
I wish I knew. I just don't want you to, you know, not know. Try it again. Try it.
It's starting to get frustrating.
It's always frustrating.
That sounds better, though, Howard. Your last bit has been better.
Go ahead. Oh, it's starting to get frustrating. Now it was frustrating right from the beginning.
All right. Howard will be right back, and he'll finish his.
He'll be right back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, while he's gone, we had a pretty interesting person in the chat room that got ejected. So that was our first ejection. Say something. Speak.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Yes.
I don't know why. I have no idea why it's doing that, but whatever. Where did you lose me? Because I was talking about the R team. I clicked on R team, and this is on Rainbow.
Right. I'm going to put that up right now. So go ahead.
Okay. So, I mean, if they have such a wonderful team of experts, why wouldn't they list who they are? I mean, if they're just, you know, I mean, I could say anything. I have a wonderful team, you know, of, you know, trained professionals working with me, you know, doing blah, 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 you know, and then there's one testimonial from Karima Jaria, Hindi, MDS, London, England. That's the one testimonial. So they have a link for our team, but for some reason they're not, you know, forthcoming with who exactly the team is. And that's a major, major red flag. I mean, why even put the link, our team, if you're not going to list the team?
Oh, look. Did you see worldwide locations?
Yeah. And if you click on those, you're only going to get an email. You did no information, no individual website for each location.
Yeah. Well, guess what? They're all going to get emails, because I want to. You know, we are following up on this.
One of the articles that I read said that the languages that are out there right now, Mandarin Chinese, Arabic, Russian, German, Hindi, and Spanish. Those languages were the ones that were being taught at Rainbow.
Yeah, there we go. Mexico at rcgkids.com. So yeah, that's not too comforting, you know, as in my mind. You know, they've got these as operating locations, and you get some email address. Oh. That was interesting. Scratch one iPad.
I have no problem with a child being, you know, bilingual or multilingual. I mean, but what I'm saying, you know, what we're saying is, who are you to be doing? What are your qualifications to be doing the teaching? We don't know, you know. And then
they accept infants, and I mean, even younger than 6 months, but I think they talk about 6 months on their website, but the first boy was younger than 6 months. They don't even know where he came from, is what the article from the Sun said, or from the Times Union.
Yeah. Well,
the article that got him fired, or the combination of.
Yeah, I fear that the we've only scratched the surface on this organization, on what they're actually doing, the people actually involved with it, and unfortunately what these schools are doing. And believe me, I'm gonna until they stop talking to me, you know, I've got a lot of really pointed questions for the organization in Miami. So hopefully, and I would imagine, and it's sad that it's like this, but because of the high profile, I'm sure even DCF is doing a decent investigation, because it's the current atmosphere, and that's what I was explaining to, you know, their media representative. I said, I'm not sure you realize, you know, and she, you know, I guess that's not that uncommon, but she didn't know who Mark Thompson was. She didn't know who Jimmy Savile was. So, you know, I think a lot of these people are not maybe in touch with the atmosphere and what's currently going on. And this is not.
Well, it kind of sounds like that's a pattern for NXIVM itself, is isolation. And I did read where he was having multiple affairs and with young women, and wouldn't let the girls, you know, talk about them being involved with him. So nobody was supposed to talk to him. And when we were talking earlier about Raniere going after people that defected, there was a woman and 3 others that defected from Tacoma, Washington. And Susan Dones told in her bankruptcy court, because he drove her to bankruptcy, that everything that Raniere does is for him to create an opportunity to exploit women sexually and to bankroll his gambling habit. So there's a gambling habit thrown in there. And I mean,
yeah. But I mean, if you just go to this website and read it, and this is, I mean, this company's gone. I mean, it's obviously gone, thank God. But hopefully, the FBI is doing a complete investigation, because this sounds like a RICO case, you know, not just a sex trafficking case, but it sounds like, I mean, it's it's big, it's has many different facets to it, and it sounds, and just anybody, you know, this is the founder that they're talking about. This is the guy who is burning brands into women's skin. Okay,
right, unknowing to them. They did not know that was his initials, or that actress lady. I don't remember her name.
So I would imagine
their initials. Yeah,
I would imagine NXIVM as an entity is gone, you know, which is a good thing. But like we're talking about Nasser and everything else, you know, okay, Nasser goes down, so what? Okay, Allison Mack, she goes down. That's, at least there's 2. But obviously there are so many other people involved, and you know, and I would hope and pray that law enforcement is focusing on these schools, because there is something up with the number of schools in Mexico, the lack of activity on Facebook, on that, you know, the one in Monterey, and then the other ones are just an email address. Come on.
And you know, and who controls these schools? Like, who's the head of these schools? How do you run schools around the world? You know, I mean, there must be some type of team.
Well, and I'm going to be, since I have, you know, right now a contact, and I want to know everything about who's running that Miami school, how did it become totally removed from the Raniere guy when the Raniere people were the ones involved in starting it, and if it was that Sanz's wife's project, why isn't she involved in it now? You know, unless, you know, and this is just opinion, this is, you know, not fact, but what a great way to cover an organization if you have a couple of these schools that are high profile, and they are active on Facebook. They do have websites. Okay, so they look like they're on the up and up. And the one in Mexico is MIA, and there's 3 or 4 of them down there. The one in Guatemala, you know, and this is typical of trafficking organizations, as we've seen in Haiti. That's where they do the trafficking, where there's less law enforcement, where they're out of, you know, it's not like being in downtown Miami. You know, that's going to be a little harder to traffic kids, and their clientele obviously are paying a lot of money to have these kids in the school. But that, in my mind, and I'm not saying this is the case or that the people in Miami even know this is going on, but they could be being used as just a smokescreen for the rest of the schools that you can't find.
Well, John, when you say that the other schools have posted on Facebook, they're active on Facebook. Well, if you read it, I just read a couple of those posts, and they were, I can't remember where I got them from, but anyway, okay, so these are both from Rainbow Cultural Garden UK Facebook post. There's a picture of a small baby, beautiful little baby in leaves. And it says, all changes, even the most longed for, have their melancholy. For what we leave behind us is a part of ourselves. We must die to one life before we can enter another. Antonio France. Choose love, joy, compassion, humanity. Those are hashtags. That's a little weird, I think, for a child's Facebook from the UK. But this is the second one. And this was November 3rd. Must have been this year or last.
I'm putting those
November 3rd.
I'm putting those up as we speak so everybody can see them, Catherine.
Oh, great. Okay. There's no point in pretending darkness does not exist in this world. A person shielded from destruction is not necessarily better off. The thing is, life is a complex patchwork of human experiences, all of which have their place. Choose love, life, humanity, early education, hashtags. And then there's a quote from the Lord of the Rings. The world is indeed full of peril, and in it there are many dark places, but still there is much that is fair. And though in all lands love is now mingled with grief, it still grows, perhaps the greater, the Lord of the Rings.
Well, and it sounds to me,
weird.
It sounds to me that everything that they're putting out is very much like the philosophy on NXIVM's website. And yet they're, at least the Miami school is stating there's and I don't think their posts are identical, but at least the one in the UK, the philosophy that they're putting out is identical to the company. So that's a problem for me.
To switch gears just a little bit, did you see the article where they held 2 training seminars on Richard Branson's island?
No.
I did not.
Nope.
Okay. Well, that's why I'm here. If you search Richard Branson, NXIVM, you'll get the article. It was in the Daily Mail, April 24th. So when I said that the Brofman sisters were the Tom Cruise, apparently they were going after a really big fish in Richard Branson. It says they held the seminars there, which included wild parties in an effort to recruit Branson. He is pictured with the president, Nancy Salzman. I don't know when it was. It's right there in the article. So they obviously have some relationship. She's sitting there with her. You pull it up, her head on his shoulder.
What do I need to Google?
And that was back in.
What do I need to Google?
Richard Branson, NXIVM.
Okay. Oh, and
Richard Branson of Virgin.
Yes. Oh, there we go. Daily Mail, UK. All right, stand by.
So 2 seminars were held in 2007 and 2010, with the hopes of recruiting him. But they did have, even if he's not a part of it. I mean, they had access to the guy. Not for nothing, but Branson, he's been giving me the creep for him after Obama got out of office. They were sitting on a boat or something, arm in arm, shirtless. Right.
Yeah, well, there's the article, and again, it's not, well, obviously it's not the New York Times because Mark Thompson runs it. You're not going to see it there.
Again, it's the UK. It's the Daily Mail. They're the ones who do reporting on this stuff. American newspapers forget about it. But if you just scroll down, I mean, the picture of Nancy, Salzman, with her head on Richard Branson's shoulder. I mean, like, how did they get access to this guy?
Yeah.
So,
and
I'm not saying what it means. I'm just saying, seems strange to me.
Yeah, and well, obviously, access wasn't their problem. I mean, look at their Hollywood connections.
Right.
So yeah, we're gonna be, there's a lot more digging to be done on this. That's for sure, and we're just to do it.
John, there are a couple of accounts on Twitter that have covered the Rainbow Cultural Garden extensively. If anyone wants to check out what they had to say, I found some information from them, as well as some other of my own. But the one is at the _war_economy, and the other one is at New Year's Danny. And I want to shout out to Margie Sacklau, at Margie Sacklau, for helping me research. She sent me a lot of things. I couldn't even keep up with it. I lost
your John. Did you lose her audio there too?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's my phone then.
Well, because Harold's asking in the chat room about the little kids. Oh yeah, actually, and I'm sorry, Eric. Howie, that was the massage folks that were in.
And they came to Philadelphia, and I should have gone down to see them. I just couldn't do it. It's LIDDLE Kids, KIDZ, I believe. LIDDLE.
Yeah. Sorry, Harold. I did remember that, just not right away.
Oh yeah, those people. Right.
Yeah, Harold was drawing a comparison because in a lot of these schools they're teaching yoga for kids, and we need to know exactly what their curriculum is and who's doing it, and I'm hoping DCF in Florida is going to be checking everybody. That's because and that's in their statement. That's what they're saying, that the reason they were shut down was because their license was for tutoring, but they're doing other things. And I would imagine that if DCF is now forced to investigate them, which they are, they're going to be going through everything that's going on at those schools and everybody who's doing it. So that's a good place to start. Let me check. I'm just wondering why I didn't get my email statement. Maybe they read my review. But let's see.
world's a crazy place, Johnny.
You can say, oh, here we go. All right, here we go. Official statement. All right, and I will read it. From Destino R, doing business as Rainbow Cultural Garden Miami. Destino R LLC, doing business as Rainbow Cultural Garden Miami, is a multicultural center with a language program that helps learn up to 7 different languages and cultures. The children interact with native speakers through play, arts, crafts, and educational adventures. It's a very successful program, as the best time to learn multiple languages is at a very young age. In addition to the language program, Rainbow Cultural Garden Miami offers other activities such as yoga, mommy and me, and music learning for children. Rainbow Cultural Garden Miami is 100% independent and has been since its creation. Well, why was it the project of Alejandro Sanz's wife? So okay, so we'll go on. The center is owned by Destino R LLC, was initially created under a multiple language program concept from Rainbow Cultural Garden, and it's based on other universally known neuroscientific concepts such as windows of opportunities, phonetic development, learning. The Rainbow Cultural Garden Miami has proven success rate with children learning multiple languages. Okay, that's very nice. Let's get to the, okay, here's the point. Rainbow Cultural Garden Miami has no connection to Keith Raniere or NXIVM in any way. The original concept of multi-language immersion came from Keith Raniere, but the center is an independent company that in 4 years has developed its own educational methodology that helps promote different cultures and the arts. Mr. Raniere's arrest has no connection or affects our center whatsoever. Mr. Raniere has never been to the Miami Center, is not connected with the center or any staff member, and has never had contact with the children who attend the center. The Rainbow Cultural Center, or the Cultural Garden Miami Tutorial Center, and has always been complied with all local governmental permitting requirements and their respective inspections and reviews of our facility. The Florida Department of Children and Families is conducting a licensing audit, and we are working with them to ensure that all proper licenses are in order. So I guess my advice to answer the question about the Garza ladies isn't there. So that's a follow-up question, but sounds like
the Garza ladies.
yeah. I mean, you know, and the question I want, you know, they're saying this is independent. The newspaper is saying that it was a project of Alejandro Sanz's wife that was heavily promoted by these Garza women. And, you know, we need to know about that. And why isn't she associated now? And it says, that statement says from the beginning. So what, you know, that, I'm going to work on some questions, and I'm sure you guys will too. Anybody wants to ask a question in the audience and the, you know how to get them to us. Email any questions you have for the Miami Center to Traffick Report, TRAFFICK Report, REPORT 911 at, just let me put it in the chat room, duh. Report 911 at email. Okay, so you guys have any questions? I will be following up that email with questions about Alejandro Sanz and his wife, and questions about the Garza family who was harboring Raniere when he was arrested by the FBI. And what is their involvement with promoting the opening of the Miami Center? So, and I would like to, and Howie's good at this. I bet you Howie can find out who the principals of Destino R LLC Corporation is. I'd like to know that. So we have yet begun to investigate.
So she doesn't say anything about the doctor.
No.
I noticed that she left him out, Dr. Porter.
Yep. And do me a favor, Catherine, if you can just text me those links. I'll put them in the show description. Because what the report was you were talking about?
I mean, to you was a canned response that went out to lots of people.
You broke up, Howie. I heard half of that.
I was saying that the response that you got was sent out to lots of people.
That's their canned response.
Right.
So.
Yes, I will send you those links, John.
Yeah, and I'll get them in the show because of and that Pareto guy. He's quoted in that Sun article about Branson, I believe. Also, Frank Pareto, was that it?
Yes, he's the writer of the Frank Report. He writes factually on there. I mean, he's fired up about those people.
Okay, and we're a crowdsource, so any investigation. Somebody said your prime target's Creepy Joe. That hasn't changed, but Howie's got a lot of targets.
Yeah, that's something that happens.
Well, careful if you get on Howard's target there.
Yeah, well,
I can visit you personally.
We were joking while you weren't here, Howie. But if I hadn't got that email, I was going to send her a link to your Joe Biden video and say, "Do you really want this guy outside your school in Miami?"
In his orange Hillary jumpsuit.
you know, Kelly works on disguises for Howie like all the time. You know, I think Howie knows that, but I'm not sure Catherine knows that.
I did not.
Yeah, Kelly has probably 10 different disguises that Howie may or may not utilize to gain access to events.
My gosh.
That's become like her. I think she's a frustrated clothing designer. Yeah, some pretty amazing outfits that may or may not see in the future.
Yeah, June's going to be a good month.
That's what I heard.
I didn't hear about that. Okay, it's a good month. I like it.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on. But
how busy are we going to be?
First week, pretty busy.
Let's see. The last I checked, the video, and we might as well while we're on here. Let me.
It died off.
Yeah, but it's still. Let me see. Hold on. That's relatively speaking. And the last I checked,
okay,
it was still getting.
It's stalled at about 145. So I'm. Listen,
I've got the analytics. Hold on. I didn't even know what analytics meant a couple months ago, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Let me.
Well, so let's talk about Howard's hit piece for just a minute before we go here, because I think we're kind of wound up on the Rainbow Cultural Garden.
Mm-hmm. For tonight, we are.
Yeah, well, yeah. But Howard's hit piece there, I found that. It blew me out of the water, Howard. I mean, that's really an honor. And they didn't use their own voice either. That's real impressive.
Well, they did. I've seen things like I've seen videos like that before. I mean, it's fine. I mean, listen, the worst thing they can do is ignore you. So
yeah.
Well.
And right now, as we speak, your video is getting 1,500 views every 48 hours. That's a lot of views.
Nice.
A lot of views. You know?
Well, the article or the video wasn't made flattering to you, Howard. However, it made such good points on some of the things that you did and everything. I was like, well, this is kind of like a mixed bag here, really. But I mean, for someone to go out of their way to do that video, you definitely shook someone's tree somewhere. You pissed somebody off.
No, they just pulled it. Most of the information was pulled from a local Philadelphia online paper. That's all right.
But they still made the video and put it up on YouTube. They're not trying to push it, obviously, because it doesn't have that many views. But still, I just thought that, you know.
There's a lot that were made about the video, so that, you know, so whatever, even if there's, you know, 145, there's probably another, you know, 10,000 or so out there. You know, people have seen it through other videos. You know, so listen, it got a lot of traction, but you know, we can't, you know, we obviously can't give up. It's not a one and done kind of thing. All right, it happened, and now move on to the next. You know, obviously.
You're not one and done with Joe?
Well, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, why should I be?
Well,
So.
I agree. I'm just asking for the general audience and myself because we're nosy like that.
Well,
Howie hasn't been one or done so far, so why would that change?
Plus, I liked saying one and done. So there you go.
Before we go, a couple of shout outs because there's to Trish, Patricia Negron, Twitter shit canned her account for no reason, as it's happened to Howie before, and she does have another at Trisha Dishes, TRISHIADISHES2 account that's up and running. So go and follow her. We'll be tweeting more support to her. She's gotten more good information out there on a regular basis than practically anybody else that I know. And so a shout out to Trish. She's a little bit discouraged, but
sure. I am following her on the new account.
Yeah, I knew you would be, but so anybody you know, in the chat room, and I just texted into the chat room, any information that you have on NXIVM, email it to us. I'm not done with this. I don't think you two are done with it. And I think it's just, we've just nicked the tip of the iceberg, you know, with this stuff. And I'm thinking that if there's a real investigation, Mexico is where they want to be investigating. And as well as, you know, I want to hear, I'm going to look into what DCF, you know, any records that might be accessible on the Miami location, and what type of investigation they're doing, and what kind of follow-up. So that's, and any follow-up, I'm, you know, all the other supposed locations of these schools, you know, I'm going to email all of them and ask them where are they located, you know, for a start.
There's a compelling question right there by Hammy.
Feel free.
Where are you at?
Yeah. Are you operating? Are you licensed? You know what? Well, you know, and please, and I think people are doing this because somebody had given them another review, you know, from the last time I saw, which wasn't very favorable. But you know, you guys can do this too. Go to these websites. I'm going to put them in, but you can the one that seems to have the most information is Rainbow Garden UK, and you know, just you email them, you know, and that's what we need to do. Keep shaking the bushes. I also want to thank Diane Keach. We had 2 hours of an interview and another initiative that I'm going to try to bring forward. I'm going to our local Congressman Morgan Griffith to talk about maybe a bill in the U.S. House, and I'm sure he's got connections in the Tennessee and Virginia legislature to bring up the. It's a short term, but it sounds like it's would be the quickest fix to DCF and allowing law enforcement and DCF to share real time information, which is not occurring, and that's why a lot of these cases, they have no idea what the law enforcement doesn't even know what's gone on previously, and the DCF workers don't know what these people's criminal histories are, and so that's something that's doable. I can't imagine anybody other than the ACLU that might be against this, you know, and we need to get law enforcement and DCF on the same page. So we'll be talking about that more at a later date, but thank you to Diane. And, you know, it was good information that she had. And I'm also going over that safe review because I think that's a model that we can take into our local communities that can begin to hold DCF accountable. So, anything else, guys?
Well, I'd say shout out to everybody. Really, let's do that. That's been keeping things going on behalf of children. I actually saw the Pizzagate hashtag being used today. I saw a new account, and I wish I could remember what her name was, because I would tell you what it is so you can follow her, because she has a lot of great information. But you know, the best in DC today, or in Virginia, I should say, I saw on comments below that people were talking about the missing children of Virginia. And so that has gotten over to people that I've never seen those accounts before. And so I was really happy to see that. You know, it's growing. We are growing, and
absolutely, yeah. We've got 1,200 subscribers. The Facebook page is growing every day. Both Twitter accounts are
also, people go and check out Mad Real. Do I have it correct, John? Mad Real?
Mad Real Show. Yep. Mad Broadcast.
Okay.
Yep.
They just did an interview with two guys that their movie is coming out in June. They're premiering it in June. And it's a kind of like a thriller, but it's about trafficking. And the trailer for it is chilling. The trailer is on their Twitter page, the Mad Real Twitter page, and the other two, and the two guys also, their production company. And to listen to the video that those girls did with those two guys, because you want to stand up and shout. I am not even kidding you. And this movie is going to be good.
Yeah.
Very well done, not gratuitous at all. So you might hit them up for an interview too.
Aren't they both survivors?
I do not know. I did not hear that said from either of them.
I believe they are. At least one of them. And we do have kind of contact with them on Twitter. The Traffic Report show does. So we'll.
Well, they said the reason that they made this movie is because they saw the online presence of people talking about child trafficking. That's what compelled them to do the movie.
Wow.
So, I mean,
and they are doing some very good work, and I think they had if I'm not mistaken, I know they did a pretty good show on NXIVM, but they might have had that Frank Pareto guy on. Not 100% on that, but I know they had somebody that knew what was going on in NXIVM, and I think that's who it was. So we'll and our apologies, my apologies. I just don't get to cover everything, but I do. I was on listening to them the other night, and they do good work, and they support what we're doing, and we thank them, and onward and upward.
Well,
I just want to leave it at. I just want to leave the show. The number 3 man at the Vatican will stand trial for historical child sex abuse.
3
in Australia.
I let that sink in. Why don't we just leave it there?
3. Beautiful. Thanks, guys.
I like it.
Thanks, guys.
I like it.
Hang out for a minute, and I'll just say goodbye to everybody, and thank you. We'll see you maybe Wednesday, maybe before. You never know with us.
There you go.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening and promoting.